Like most literary agents, I'm getting hundreds of queries every single month. So you have to be really selective on how you proceed with those queries. If you can get to the first 3 chapters of as many as possible, that's amazing. And full manuscript requests are not as common as passes. So, what is it that really I'm looking for and makes me pass on a query letter? Well, the first thing is if I can't immediately understand what you're writing about, who your target audience is, and I can get into the mindset of your genre. If it's a confusing query or if it's not really sticking, then I've probably lost interest, because if you don't know your marketing, that might be an uphill battle to get your book sold, published, and promoted. The next thing that really is when you're reading, it's those first couple chapters. Do the chapters continue to hold weight through 1 and 3? And is it aligned with the genre? Is the writing romantic comedy style? If it's horror and suspense, am I feeling that? I don't want to have endless purple prose in a children's book. So there's certain writing styles that go with certain genres, and that's something else that really sticks out when you're reading a lot of query letters. And like I'm sure you've heard people say before, starting with things like dreams, the weather, or very descriptive stuff that doesn't immediately catch the reader's attention sometimes is not the most interesting way to start a book. So all of these things go into the query letters. There's word count, which I hear people ask me about a lot. Is my word count a deal killer? For me personally, it's not, but there definitely are industry standards. And with that being said, like I've said in other videos, I think it's really important that if you're kind of outside of your genre in any way that limits your marketability, that limits the amount of publishers that could look at your work and say, yes, we can obtain this and we can sell this and promote this, it's important to acknowledge that. So the greatest example is word count. If you're really, really over your genre's word count for traditionally published books, acknowledge that in your query letter. Hey, my book sits at 100,000 words. I know that that is more than the genre. There's an amazing cliffhanger right around 80,000 that would, still give me space to do a sequel, a duology, a novella. All of that, it just shows, at least for me, that you understand the marketing, the positioning, and kind of those industry standards, and that you're open-minded to feedback. And there are books that are outliers in every genre, right? That just exceed word expectation and word count, and it's not an issue at all. But it is important, if you're up against hundreds and hundreds of authors every single month, that you really are within those industry standard limits, because you don't want to be passed on an amazing book just because it may feel like, compared to something else, it's already more ready to go. So acknowledging, those things that are maybe outliers is super, super important. The link to query me is in my bio. I am currently taking on new authors. My list is curated. I really view agent representation as a teamwork, a partnership, a friendship, and I love the authors that I work with, and I love reading queries. I go through each and every one personally, and I try to read as many sample pages as possible, because I know that the story and the author themselves are the two, magic components to finding success and having a really great author career. So I look forward to reading your query, and you can find that link in my bio.